So in this video I'm going to be doing a video analysis from the Brentford-Manchester United game. Check the Patreon, which will be linked below, for the Telegram group chat. But let's get straight into it. So here we see Manchester United have possession towards the end of the first half in the middle third, with Brentford sitting off in their 5-3-2 shape. And something that I really liked about this game was Ten Hag's use of Andre Onana. I have felt that he's been far too conservative with using Andre Onana in possession, not just in the build-up phase inside his own box, but in this game we also saw Ten Hag giving Andre Onana the licence to basically become the spare man, the 11th man in the middle third. And you can see he's creating a back three with De Ligt and Jonny Evans, creating that wide base for United to circulate the ball around Brentford's front two. But ahead of the deeper three, you can also see that both Lisandro Martinez and Dalot have inverted from fullback. And this then allows both Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen to hold higher positions in the half space. But as you're going to see in just a second, I think this is why Ten Hag has to look to bring Mason Mount in for Christian Eriksen eventually. But first, we see the benefit of using Andre Onana this high up the pitch. He's essentially the free man, and that means that if Brentford's front two want to pressurise him, one of their front two has to leave De Ligt free, as he does here, because obviously even if Brentford go man for man all over the pitch, they can't push their goalkeeper forward, and so Onana's always going to be the free man. And so in this deeper part of the pitch, this is going to allow United to create the overload. You can see the Brentford man is moving towards Andre Onana, and that leaves space for him to play the pass into De Ligt. But this is where I think we can see the case for having Mount instead of Eriksen. As the ball goes out to De Ligt, you can see Garnacho, rightly so, makes a movement deeper down the flank, which drags the Brentford left wing back higher up the pitch, and that creates space in the channel. Now I think in Christian Eriksen's position, you need someone who can make that run into the channel. And it's not just so that De Ligt can play that more direct pass into the channel for Christian Eriksen or Mason Mount, whoever it is, to run onto, but also because it's going to stretch the Brentford back line, dragging a defender backwards as they try to follow the run, and therefore creating space in front of the back line in behind the midfield. Now before I come on to Dalot and Højlund's involvement in this piece of play, just quickly, if you want to check out any of the new season or retro jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. They've also got a variety of other jerseys as well. If you use code Atlantis at checkout, you'll get a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description. So as De Ligt receives the ball, because Eriksen isn't going to make this movement, because obviously he's not got the athleticism or the pace to really get in behind, and so De Ligt has to check backwards. But also what you notice about Dalot's movement is that he doesn't just hold a position alongside the Brentford midfield line. He drops deep alongside De Ligt, which can work in two possible ways. If the Brentford midfielder in that midfield line decides to hold his position as he does, then Dalot can just receive the ball and open up his body and play forward. If he follows Dalot into this deeper position, trying to stop the pass from De Ligt into Dalot, that's going to vacate a massive amount of space right in the centre of the pitch for one of the Manchester United forward line to drop into. And we actually see a combination of both of these two things. As Dalot drops deeper, the Brentford central midfielder who was on him just a few seconds ago, Janelt, initially decides to hold a deeper position. But as Dalot receives the ball, he moves out to apply the pressure, vacating the space in behind, and this is where we see Højlund drop deep, looking to receive the ball to feet, and this is something we associate more with Xerxes than Højlund. However, this is the benefit of inverting Dalot, as he's got great vision and he's a very good incisive passer from these positions. He receives the ball, immediately sees the opportunity to split the Brentford midfield, plays that progressive pass into Højlund's feet, and if I'm honest, from this sort of position, I usually don't have much confidence that Højlund's going to be able to efficiently progress the ball, as unlike Xerxes, he can be quite clunky at times, and as you can see here, Nathan Collins has followed him out of the back line. He's pressurising him straight away, he's right on his back, but the piece of skill that we see from Højlund is genuinely what you would expect from a top level centre forward, a top level deeper line forward specifically. Dalot plays a pass, and with one touch, flicking the ball from his left over to the right side where the space is, Højlund completely turns away from Nathan Collins, and now there's the opportunity for him to play forward. He plays a pass into Garnacho, perfect timing, perfect weight, and now you can see that Garnacho's isolated, I think it's Van den Berg, pushing him back into his box. Now this is a sort of position where in 2 or 3 years you'd expect Garnacho to be able to isolate the player and just drive past them either down the left or act like he's going to go down the left and cut inside onto his right into a shooting position. However, at the moment he's not quite at that level, and this is where I come on to the point about United's left back. Using Lisandro Martinez as an inverted fullback in quite a conservative defensive role of course does have its benefits, particularly from a rest defence point of view and in terms of actually progressing the ball into the final third. However, the issue with this is that whenever Garnacho or Rashford receive the ball on the left side in this type of position, ideally I think they need an overlapping fullback, as unlike someone like Mitoma, Vinicius Jr, Doku for example, I wouldn't say that either Rashford Rashford or Garnacho, or even Amad as well, are 1v1 specialists. I think they need someone who's providing a run ahead to drag players away and open up the space for them to move into. If United had, say, Harry Amas, Alvaro Fernandez, or in an ideal world for me, Theo Hernandez at left back, they could start making a run further forward as Dalot receives a ball, or as the ball goes into Højlund, ready to make a run into a dangerous position. But Lisandro Martinez, he's still holding that deeper position, and even still he's not really got the pace and the power to provide a dangerous run down the outside. If Ten Hag was using a fullback, say like Harry Amas or Alvaro Fernandez if he is signed in January, then from this position I think United look a lot more dangerous, because Garnacho has two options. If the fullback holds his position, looking to stop Garnacho cutting inside onto his right foot and releasing a shot, that's going to open up the space on his outside, and Garnacho can just slide in the left back behind him into a crossing or a shooting position. However, from Garnacho or even Rashford's point of view, or Amad on the other side, the ideal scenario for them is that the fullback behind them makes this untracked, powerful run, forces the fullback who they've isolated in a 1v1 to kind of drop off a few yards, looking to cover that run down their outside, which in turn is going to open up space on their inside for Garnacho in this situation, for example, to cut inside and have that space to get a shot away with his right foot. And even though we do see Garnacho get the shot away, it's a pretty tame shot and he wasn't really in the right position with the right angle or space to really look to bend it into the far corner, which is what he would ideally want to do. And so this is the trade-off with using Lisandro Martinez, or really any kind of conservative centre-back essentially, as a left-back. Because whilst when you look on the team sheet it seems fine because Lisandro Martinez is obviously a quality player, I think he can play that left back position very well, especially when he's inverting in field. You need to look at the consequences of having certain stylistic players in certain positions and the effect it has on other players. I think all of United's wingers practically, Amad, Garnacho, Rashford, could all do with overlapping fullbacks, or not even necessarily overlapping fullbacks, but just players who can provide overlaps, and on the overlap they'll be on the side of their strongest foot so they can instantly put in a cross. Because let's say you have Dalot, who is a player behind Garnacho providing the overlapping run. Yes, he definitely has the athleticism to make that run and get into a good position, but he's not left-footed, and so even though he can definitely put in a decent cross, he's not going to be as effective in this sort of situation as say someone like Harry Amas, Alvaro Fernandez, and certainly nowhere near Theo Hernandez. And so this is the issue I have with Eriksen playing in the starting lineup, particularly when he's pushing up this high, because you need someone like Lisandro Martinez who can sit in the rest defence and take up that central position. And if he's taken up the central position as what essentially just looks like a central midfielder, he's not going to be in the position when the ball goes into Garnacho or Rashford to provide that overlapping run. But also Eriksen from a higher position doesn't have the pace or the athleticism to provide movement in behind. Whereas let's say you had someone like Mason Mount or even Alejandro Garnacho in this central position in the half space, they can provide that run, and not only is it going to offer United an outlet, De Ligt in that situation, to play a ball in behind the opposition's back line, even if that ball doesn't go in behind, it's going to force the opposition to drop off slightly and it's going to create space in front, as we saw Dalot do higher up the pitch where he made a movement into a deeper position which then forced the Brentford midfielder who was man marking him to push out. That vacated the space for Højlund, and so ultimately it was Dalot's movement in the first place which opened up the opportunity for United to progress the ball into Garnacho. If you take out, say, Christian Eriksen and you put in Manuel Ugarte, or what I would do when Mason Mount is actually fit, I'd take out Eriksen, put in Mount, take out Casemiro, put in Ugarte, and I would have Ugarte sitting alongside Dalot in the double pivot, have a fullback like Harry Amas or hopefully someone like Alvaro Fernandez in January, initially sitting in the rest defence as Lisandro Martinez was, but as the ball gets played into the forward line with Højlund, they can look to make a run forward. United's 3-2 rest defence would then become a 2-2, and this fullback could then provide the overlapping run ahead of Garnacho, and I think that would massively improve United's attack. And so in the next few games, watch how when Garnacho or Rashford receive the ball, it seems like they're looking for a runner in behind, because as I've said before, I think they are reactive dribblers rather than proactive dribblers, and I think they wait for the defender to make a movement first, see where the space is opened up before they make their decision. Whereas someone like Matoma or Doku, who are 1v1 isolationists, they are more proactive dribblers and they don't necessarily have to wait for the fullback to make a move. They can make the move, and because of their pace and their dribbling ability, they can then beat the player from that situation. So from a stylistic point of view, I think Garnacho, Rashford, Amad, they all need an overlapping fullback, and so that's why I think when Mazraoui comes back, or even now with Harry Amas or maybe with someone like Alvaro Fernandez in January, we have to see Ten Hag use more of this overlapping overlapping pattern of play in the final third, because I think it's going to help United create a lot more high quality chances. So thank you for watching. My Patreon and the Telegram group chat will be linked below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section as well.